Now that Tesla's full self-driving is being made available to, as far as we know, 2% of users, we're now seeing just how good the new V12 is. We continue to hear reports of how V12 is now able to handle a number of edge cases that V11 was never able to manage. Today, we're going to show you 8 examples of these edge cases with videos and comparisons to how V11 handled the same scenario. We've got Larry Goldberg joining us. Larry is a multi-entrepreneur, and he's been joining me on a weekly basis here. Thank you, Larry.
Thanks, Herbert. Favorite subject of mine, although I am not amongst the 2%. This is the first time I haven't got it in the first wave. I'm really, really frustrated because I'm still waiting for my Cybertruck.
You're still waiting for your Cybertruck. Well, you're going to get them all. Don't worry. It's going to happen for you very soon. You're always one of the favorite ones, and that's why you share this info in front of us as well so you can. So let's get started with some of these edge cases. And interestingly enough, this person's X account is called Edge Case 411. So he's comparing what we like about his account. He actually shows you where it failed in V11 and how it compares to V12. So he goes, watch this flawless execution of this left turn. It hasn't been able to make in over a year. Just look at the stability of the steering wheel and the blue line and note the difference from before. Very, very impressive. So let's watch how it works out here.
That's V11 trying to make it, right?
That was V11. Yeah. Now this is V12.
Yep.
There's people crossing in the crosswalk. Much more confident blue line. And it does it.
Amazing. Yeah, I have an edge case. I have an edge case that's similar to that V11 is failing at, and I'm so anxious to try V12 because I've spoken for a long time about not being able to get out of my neighborhood with FSD. FSD does great except in my neighborhood. That's one of the problems of the very tight and difficult left turn is one of the problems.
Yeah, so you're looking forward to that. The other thing that Omar from Homar's blog, who's had V12 for over a month now, and what he was shocked was that he never was able to get out of his compound because it had a gate. And now with V12, the car knew on its own to wait until the gate opened and then leave.
Right.
He was shocked, like, how did this thing figure this out on its own? So that was good.
Yeah, and I'm excited. My wife stores some of her artwork in a storage facility that has a similar gate, which I haven't been able to use myself. So I'm waiting to test Omar's test.
That'll be great. Okay, we'll see what happens there. Okay, so the next one here is we got another one from Edge Case again. This time he compared 11 to 12. This one is anticipating lane change at advance behind a line of cars. So you know how it is when there's a line of cars who want to turn right. Does your car know what to do? Did it just keep going and then it's going to be blocked, or does it know what to do now? So very natural movement, he says, compared to version 11. Let's see how this car does it.
This is F11, just V11, just waiting for F11.
Looking for a spot to open, but of course there isn't any.
Yeah.
Then he gets caught. Uh-oh. No, it stopped. Okay, there's V12.
Do it now. Very nice.
Somehow it knew already to smoothly get in there and not have to wait until you get even close to the area.
Yeah, that's a very, very tricky part of the planner. Very tricky is how early to get over. You want to optimize being in the open lane as long as possible, but you also need to get over as early as possible. In that case, you can't get over any earlier than it did with the V12 because of the on-ramp.
Yeah. That's one example that we've been hearing quite often from people saying, oh, there's no way a car would be able to, drive itself, because these are examples that humans kind of learn, figure out on their own.
Right.
This is one example that they always say, right? How is a car going to know that if this lane is, you see that car there, but you don't really know yet, but you know in this spot that there's this long lineup, I better get there now because I don't want to piss people off if I go further and try to cut in. And
yeah,
car somehow knew.
You can write a lot of code around that case.
Mm.
in terms of the number of cars in the front of you, the number of cars you in the right of you, and then you decide, based on, you can write a lot of code and none of it will work, at least in, some percentage of the case. If the car develops the same sense that a driver sense develops by inference over time with multiple different examples, that, that variability is dramatically larger than code could allow for, unless one coded in, some degree of, of variability. I mean, it's difficult to code. Would be difficult. You really need an AI system for that.
Not sure if everyone of our audience here, most probably know that version 12 is completely AI coded. The AI neural net is learning on its own. They feed it videos and it's watching how drivers drive, and then it figures out what normal humans would do. Versus 11 and beyond, it was coded. 300,000 lines of code. Engineers would try to come up with kind of if this and that kind of heuristics. Now you don't have to do that. So let's watch another one of these. So this is fun. Here's another one from Edge Case. So in this case, what he's thinking is that did FSD Beta 12, did it obey the keep clear sign? You know how when you're driving and then there's a sign that says keep clear, because if there's a line up here, they don't want you to get stuck in the middle of a kind of a normal way where some other cars coming on the right here can take. It sure felt like it stopped early to prevent blocking the road. Now, can it read signs? And apparently it can. So let's watch this very short clip here. Even the car in front of it is already moving forward, lining up, but it knows to stop here instead of like a foot or two behind the other car, because there's a keep clear sign. And that's one thing that Elon did say, right? That this is baby AGI, because this neural net, this AI can actually read signs. It can read signs on the signpost. It can read signs on the ground. It can read signs, even the billboards. It can read words and different languages too, he was saying.
Yeah, I'm fascinated to see how the keep clear command will work in New York, because every section's got a keep clear sign and nobody keeps clear. And I wonder how well it'll learn. It should learn pretty rapidly.
Yeah, it should learn, right? Because what they're going to do is feed it videos of drivers in New York, and it knows that it's in New York, so it'll use those videos and it'll behave like humans do there. And
one of the things Green the Only really delves into the code, because he gets these smashed Teslas, he pulls them apart, and then he digs into the code in the computer. One of the things he said is that it's now downloading maps from the training computer in advance of its travel. So that's a very interesting fact, because that could make a huge impact on its immediate knowledge of what's going on at the time it's traveling a particular route.
In that location. Yeah.
In that very location. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's one of the things it needs to do is learn how to drive differently in different scenarios, different locations. And that's, again, they're feeding it the videos, and then they're actually identifying the good drivers. And so they can say, here in New York, don't drive like this cab driver.
Drive like me.
Drive like you. Right. Yeah. But still aggressive. Like I drive differently in New York than you would in California, right?
Absolutely.
You have to. If you're not aggressive and you take in fact, everybody expects you to do that. And if you don't do it, you slow everything down.
You won't make any progress. Yeah. And you would drive on the Montana freeway very differently to the way you drive on the New York freeway. Because the Montana freeway is, it's 85 miles an hour, but it's wide open. The New York freeway, maybe 65, maybe 70, but my gosh, it's, it's very heavily trafficked. And so there's a huge difference.
Yeah. So far we've seen at least 3. There's so many. We're going to show a few more here of edge cases that 11 couldn't solve, now 12 could. And so this is the kind of things that we need to hear. It's very promising. It's still early, but very promising that 12 is actually going to be able to solve multiple different, edge cases. So here's another one. This guy from Mark Bixby said that version 12.2.1, it succeeds at this risky oddball U-turn routing move that no local human would ever choose on this 50 mile per hour 6-lane street on a slight hill. I don't know what that means, but no local human would even choose to do this. I was always too scared to let version 11 attempt this. And while version 12 is impressive, that U-turn is too much excitement for me. Trying to understand what he means by that, but let's watch it first and see what it does.
I don't know why it has to do a U-turn.
It's on the right lane.
Yeah.
It's a 50-second clip, so it's still not quite there, I guess. So it's now gonna.
Yeah. Oh, it's not allowed to turn left there. That's what it's going to turn right and do a U-turn.
Oh, I see. Okay, so now it turns right. Now it needs to figure out how to do a U-turn.
Left lane, do a U-turn, and go back the other way.
Okay, okay, that's what he means. 50 mile per hour, 6-lane street. So these guys are going fast, and it's got to figure out, am I going to do this?
Oh my word!
It figured out that there's a spot there. And it goes in, and you got to speed fast, Okay, catch up the speed.
Well, it does, because not another car is passing it at that point. So,
yeah,
that's pretty good.
Yeah. So this idea of a U-turn is really fascinating, because the car knows that it made a mistake. It couldn't figure it out. It realizes there's a U-turn, and then it learned on its own. By the way,
it didn't make a mistake. Didn't make a mistake.
Oh,
there was no left turn at that point.
Gotcha.
That intersection didn't allow a left turn. He needed to go left. So read the sign, no U-turn, even though the map took him that way. So he did a U-turn to go on the, I mean, that's amazing.
I see. There was somebody had posted something similar. Oh my gosh, FSD did a U-turn. And then one of the engineers from Tesla, FSD, replied back saying, what's really powerful about this was no one coded it. It figured it on its own, and it did it on its own. Yeah. So that's another edge case. Here's another one, which is, FSD version 12 handles this narrow road right-of-way negotiations very effortlessly. So it's a very narrow road, right? And you know how, okay, there's only room for one car. And you know how humans are. We will see a car, and sometimes you're going to be polite. Sometimes you're not polite. You'll say, go ahead, you go. No, it's my turn. Second part of this clip really impressed me. You can see it yield initially, and then immediately asserts itself when the driver already started slowing. That is impressive. So that is like, okay.
That's human-like behavior.
That is crazy. So let's see, where are we now? AI driver here. Is this the one? Yeah, this is the one.
Pretty smooth maneuver.
Yeah, so it knew to go to the right to let that car have its way. Okay, there's a car coming. Oh no.
Car hesitates, so he takes.
Oh, initially it was going to go to the right. Then he saw that car stopped.
The other car stopped, so he took the gap.
They took the gap.
You know, V11 would have stopped and just stopped, and then the other guy would have had to stop, think about it, and then start up again. Yeah, pretty good.
But the other thing about that video was that it looked like that the other car was pretty far down, but not that close. So kind of still sees it, knows a behavior, makes a decision that, okay, you know what, he's far down, he's slowing down, I have a chance here, I'm going to go take it. But did you see how it did? It did when it saw the car even further down. It was starting to hug the curb. Yeah.
But when this car hesitated, the car didn't stop. The car hesitated. It was slowing to a stop. It took its chance. It was very good. That's human-like behavior.
That's great. So that's another example of one. Yeah. Okay. So here's another one, which is a construction zone. So Arthur X says, FSD Beta 12, the one with the construction zone. A construction zone with a closed off road, diverting traffic to a temporary lane. Previously, FSD Beta 11 could not handle this specific spot. So it's another example of, oh my God, 12 can do it, and 11 could never do it. Let's see, where are we? There's Arthur.
Right here at the beginning. So you can see the roads
I'm going to start at the beginning. Here we go.
All right, back on FSD Beta 12. I have a little construction area here that on V11, it's never been able to do it. Kind of gets confused right here at the beginning. So you can see the road's closed off and kind of coned off to the side. So let's see. Oh, I mean, already a ton of confidence going through. I'll see if I can find a video of V11 and link it if I still have one. But yeah, just back there, it would just get super confused. And we had one time where V11, it would try to crash into the barrier there. And just, I mean, even just creeping up to the closure, it was not very confident. But this, I mean, it just took it. It knew exactly what it was doing. I mean, far more confident. Great ride, you know. Yeah, handled it great. So,
hey, I mean, that's a temporary road, right? So, had to be very confident that that's a road when it's not usually a road, right? What'd you think?
You know, I'm thinking back to the first receiving FSD beta, and I'm thinking, my wife and I are driving back from the beach, and I said, look, do you mind? It's going to be a little rocky. She said, no, go ahead. And boy, she was brave enough, because it's terrible in the passenger seat to have this car, you know, jerk around the corner, hesitate in the middle of a turn, you know, all that kind of stuff it used to do. And as I think through each of the revs that I've received, and I think where we are now versus where we were then, it's incredible. It's just amazing. And, you know, a lot of people are very frustrated. It's taking so long, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, knowing what I know, I'm very confident we are, you know, within striking distance now of V4 you know, on a universal basis. I mean, there are a lot of edge cases that it may confuse it. And I'm trying to think through, you know, at what point are you ready to go to the robotaxi? And I think it's getting there very quickly now.
You can do robotaxi in like set, you know, geofenced areas, right, in the city, right, or like everything's very like block. You know, there's lots of blocks, lights.
I don't think they want to do that. I don't think Tesla wants to do that, because that operationally is very, very complicated. That's the operation. You know, that kind of operation requires a significant amount of support. You really want to be able to get to a point where it doesn't need a significant amount of operational support, and that is no geofencing. Now,
no geofence.
You may want to geofence off some parts of the world, but you want to be as universal as possible. And I think that's the target.
For sure, that's the target. Yeah, but back to this comfort, the comfort of the ride and the passengers. We are now hearing of these, you know, 2% of people that are playing with version 12 over and over and over again. You know, this is now spouse approved, and it's an example of how when you're coding the code, it's very jerky. If this, then that, and so you see the car like, you know, creep and then stop, and then I'm supposed to turn left, and it turns left. Versus this version, which is the AI behave like a human, looks at all the videos. And it goes, well, humans don't do that. They drive very smooth. They even slow down before entering into an intersection so that they don't do the jerky stops, the jerky things. And it just figures it out on its own, right? So
now, I did hear somebody claim that the behavior on the freeways is still the old stack behavior.
It's still the same, yeah.
And so that confuses me, because it must be much more complicated to run two stacks at the same time. I wouldn't have thought they would have done that, but it's possible. And it's possible that they need additional testing on the freeways and additional evolution on the freeways. So they've cobbled the two together, and maybe that's been the delay. But all in all, I'm very, very, very excited. I think this is showing that the direction is consistently improving, that the direction is the right direction, and there's, you know, obviously very significant improvement. And so, Tesla, send me FSD already.
Okay, I've got one more to show. This one is very, very shocking. I think it's really incredible. This one is a car, the FSD12, behaving so much like a human as it was searching for a parking spot. I thought this was quite interesting. So this is Arthur, and he said the one where it parks itself, right? So after consistently having the car either park itself into a stall if my destination was parking lot, or pull to the curb out of the roadway if the destination was on the street. So this is the interesting thing. That's already normal. If you put as your destination a parking lot, it knows to drive into the parking lot. It knows to find a parking stall. That's already normal. And if you are stopping in front of somebody's house on a roadway, it knows to find a parking spot on the curb and pull to the curb. That's normal. This part was very interesting. He said, okay, so he set the destination to a random alley in downtown Sacramento. The car pulls into the alley, drives slow. Based on my previous experiences earlier in the drive, it appears to be looking for a spot. Seems like it couldn't find one it could fit into, so it went down all the way to the alley. Instead of stopping in the middle of the roadway, how version 11 would perform, the car rerouted itself around the block. It went around the block again and back into the alley. When it gets back into the alley, it immediately parks into a parking stall like earlier. So instead of trying to get you closer to the destination, it knew that there wasn't any parking closer. So it went and go ahead and pick the one earlier. This is exactly what I would have done if I was driving. After seeing there was no parking spots the first time, I would have driven around the block and parked in the first available spot I could find. I do this all the time, right? Just driving around. Whether or not this is exactly what happened is up for debate, but based on the previous 5 or so tests I performed before this, it really does seem like it was looking for a spot to park. I'll post a video of the entire drive with the other parking examples. Okay, so let's play a little bit. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but it is very interesting. So here's him driving. Okay, so wait, I'm going to get there. So now it's going into the alley. So if you look at the alley, it's never been here yet. It's trying to drive and find you a parking spot. So it goes through the alley. It's looking for a spot, right? And fast forward.
Navigate on autopilot ending. It's still kind of moving around. I don't know if it's like trying to find a parking spot now because it's going to do a little loop to get back.
So it already reached its destination. So it rerouted itself.
Yeah.
And he goes, I don't know what it's doing.
It's gone all the way through the alley. It hasn't found a parking spot. So it's going to go back again and park at an earlier spot that it seems to have remembered.
Yes. So, okay, now it's going to turn around the block, goes around the block.
Pretty slow. But I don't know. There's one right there. So there's one.
But it doesn't choose those ones. He said there's parking spots right there, right? But it's far away from his lot because it knows it saw earlier a parking spot.
The parking spot, yeah.
Okay, so it goes around the block, and then it goes into the alley, right?
That's actually taking that parking spot right there.
Okay, here's the alley again.
Oh, there's the alley. There's the spot.
And there's a parking spots right here, so it decides to go here instead of going all the way down the alley.
Wow, look at that. All right, so, I mean, let's recap that real quick. Drove through this alley. I'm pretty slow. Looked like it was looking for a parking spot the whole time. Couldn't find a parking spot. Rerouted to come back around and try to find another parking spot. I'm pretty sure it was trying to find one on the street out there. Didn't find one in enough time or whatever. Kept on going, looped around, came back into the alley, and then without going back through, decided, hey, we're just gonna park here. Here's a parking spot. Incredible, blown away. FSD Beta 12. Great job, Tesla.
What do you think?
That's very, I mean, what can I tell you? This is amazing. I mean, it is amazing. First prize.
So if it can do this, it can do robotaxi, right? The whole point of robotaxi was it drops you off and then it goes around and around and waits for you. It goes, picks up other drivers, it parks a car, it does whatever, and then it comes pick you up later. Like, you mean, it drops you off and it's supposed to find its own parking spot by itself. It just did it.
Pretty exciting. Yeah, pretty.
It went around and around, you know? And like sometimes you need to keep going around and around the block until somebody leaves. So you might just keep going around until you find somebody left and then you'll take it. It could do this.
There'll be a long line of Teslas running around the block waiting for the same car. You know, I have to say,
yeah.
what's exciting about this is the rate of learning is going to increase by multifold, because you know, up to now they've had to learn from video clips that they have, but now they're going to get a hell of a lot of information, a lot more information about real world problems that the V12 is going to experience. It's exciting, very exciting.
Okay, well, it's early, right? It's only been a few days. Only 2% of people have got it. We'll see when it gets spread out more if this is real. But so far, cross fingers, it's showing that it can do things that version 11 can do. It's showing that it's a lot more smoother drive, that passengers are feeling better about it. And like you say, the rate of improvement is what we're going to watch for, how quickly it can learn. So we'll cross our fingers some more. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Follow Larry at Tesla Larry on X. Thanks, everybody. I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.